So we all know we need to exercise to be healthy, but how much exercise? Should we do light exercise or heavy? Should we do it 5 days a week or 7 days a week? Should we do walking or running? Should we do weightlifting, strength training, aerobic exercises? Should we do CrossFit? Should we do rock climbing? What should we be doing? What is the right amount of exercise? What is the optimal way to exercise for sustained health? That's
Hey everyone, this is Aaron and Juwan, and you're listening to Wellness for Real People. This show is for people who are on the go, busy, and looking for ways to live their best lives. We focus on wellness topics in mindfulness, exercise, diet, and sleep, and share quick, actionable tactics to improve your health and wellness. We're not perfect, but we're trying to get a little better each day. Let's grow on this journey together.
that's a little bit about what we're talking about today. I'm Juan here with my co-host Aaron. We're back for another episode of Wellness for Real People, and today we're looking at some interesting research out of Harvard Health. We're discussing an article from them. It's titled "A Three-Pronged Approach to Exercise," and we're going to talk about what they recommend in terms of these three prongs, three types of exercise that we should be thinking about incorporating into our weekly routine that actually work together to help us get great benefits. And so I thought this was a very fascinating article. There's some very practical tips in here that I'm excited to share with you all today. Aaron, before we dive into the specifics, were there any kind of big takeaways or interesting aha moments that you experienced as you were reading through the article?
I think it's just a re-emphasis on simplicity and trying to focus in on just a few things to work on. It gives us a lot of recommendations here. Not to say that we need to do all these types of exercises, but trying to find the ones that fit the best. I mean, like for me, it's like sometimes I get overwhelmed by the amount nowadays of fitness apps, things that you can do, the equipment you can buy. Like they got some stuff, man. Some stuff. It's like I don't even know how to use that, but it looks amazing. It looks high tech and all of that good stuff. But this article gets us back to the simplicity. It's like, hey, listen, let's just try doing these three things. I feel like you're going to see some changes. So that was my biggest takeaway is just like stick to the fundamentals. Just at least do these things and then maybe add on the fancy stuff. But yeah, that's what I got so far.
No, absolutely. Great point. Great point. So let's dive into it. The article starts by just talking about a study, and this is a study that was, according to a 2024 review article in the Trends in Cardiovascular Medicine. So it says if you're looking to optimize your cardiovascular health, your heart health, a regimen that includes three types of movement may be the way to go. And so the foundation of this exercise triad is number one, a moderate intensity aerobic exercise. So think about cardio, things like brisk walking. You want to combine that with some moderate, so that's the moderate side of things. These things kind of benefit your heart by burning calories and boosting your metabolism, which helps to control your weight. So then we kind of start with that, just that moderate intensity exercise. But then they also recommend incorporating some of that vigorous intensity exercise as well as a part of your weekly routine. And so that vigorous exercise can include things like walking uphill, right? You could be at 4.5 miles per hour or faster, and you're walking briskly. So you're a little bit out of breath. That could also include jogging or running. You can do that depending on the pace at which you're doing it. You can do it on flat ground or uphill. That could include bicycling at 10 miles an hour or faster, or you could include some uphill work on that. Think about things like a spin class if for indoor cycling, or if you don't want to get outside, the weather's not permissible. Think about things like tennis, or some of these kind of sports, just a soccer league or something like that, right? Where you're getting the heart rate pumping a little bit more. Things like swimming are also very effective. One of those exercises that works out the entire body. So just doing some steady laps of swimming. So those are some examples of how you might turn it up a bit, right, for that vigorous intensity exercise. And then the third piece to this is some sort of strength building exercise. So they also call it muscle building exercise. So some things like weight training with dumbbells or medicine balls, kettlebells, weighted ropes, resistance bands, or even just body weight exercises. You can put on a YouTube video. I do that twice a week, and go through a series of these body weight calisthenics. And it's very, 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 very helpful. You don't even have to think about what to do. Just push play and do what they say. Right? Things like sit ups, push ups, squats. So those kinds of body weight exercises. Things like getting out in your yard if you have one, or being a part of a gardening organization or program, right? So things like heavy gardening or yard work can count for that, and then certain forms of yoga as well. And so those are just some very practical examples of this kind of three-pronged approach, which is that moderate intensity exercise, some vigorous intensity exercise, so taking it up a notch, and then adding that strength based or weight training, muscle building, probably a better way to say it, muscle building exercise to your routine, together, as a part of that mix that's going to help give you the most bang for your buck. Anything you'd like to add there, Aaron?
No, I think it's good, man. We covered the three types. I think we could cover some of the benefits next and kind of how these things actually translate from these exercises. So I think one of the biggest ones in these aerobic exercises that Jawan talked about are some of the things that you see kind of happen over time. The article talks about how people that run or do similar types of vigorous exercises might finally experience that runner's high, either during or after their workout. The big benefit here is that your body's releasing feel-good chemicals known as endorphins and endocannabinoids. I believe I said that right. I'm going to have to double check in the notes in response to that intense exercise. The beautiful thing about that is those releases and those really feel-good moments are going to encourage you to build that habit over time. So by taking advantage of these practices, you're going to start experiencing those things and you want more of them versus some of the benefits you get from, oh man, I really felt great after I eat a bunch of cake for just a little bit of time that tasted good. Then you feel terrible after versus these things that make you feel good at that time and you have long-term benefits. So the article goes on to say that any type of aerobic exercise, whether moderate or vigorous, helps dampen the body's fight or flight response, which is huge because that helps play a role in managing chronic stress and anxiety. Those aerobic exercises also spur the release of adrenaline and related hormones that stimulate receptors in the heart to beat more frequently and forcefully. So over time, the heart becomes more efficient, requiring less effort to send blood through the body. And as a result, more blood circulates through the body, blood vessels expand slightly and become more flexible. So you're experiencing a lot of different benefits here, but long term, your body overall and your heart overall are going to really benefit from taking advantage of those first two pillars of the moderate and vigorous aerobic exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought, that piece around um, dampening the body's fight or flight response, which plays a role in chronic stress and anxiety. I think that's a big one.
Yeah.
One of those big, just kind of unnecessary. We don't always think about it, but unconscious benefits of exercise is just being able to counterbalance some of that stress and anxiety that we're just dealing with, all the everyday events that happen in life. And so that really stood out for me as a great tool. One of the things we talk about all the time on the show is right around how do we manage our stress, right? How do we be a little bit more intentional, mindful around that? And so it's great to see that that aerobic exercise is a part of playing a positive role in helping to manage that stress and anxiety that we're
Mhm.
experiencing. Let's talk about why muscle building matters. So the article says that including muscle building exercises in your routine has a synergistic effect with aerobic exercise that can further enhance your heart health. So, strength training can make your body more efficient at burning fat for energy. And it also helps improve how your body responds to insulin, which is the hormone responsible for regulating our blood sugar levels. And so, Dr. Churchill says, that can help to prevent or improve diabetes and a potent risk factor for heart disease. So, I think that's absolutely huge, this connection between building muscle and being able to more effectively manage our blood sugar levels, something that I know is really important, near and dear to many folks in our audience, as well.
Yeah. And just to close this out, so I think it was a really good discussion around some of these topics. I think the biggest thing to take away is that exercise clearly is going to help improve a lot of these markers and a lot of these issues, specifically around trying to solve some cardiovascular issues, but also can help with improving diabetes issues and other things that we may suffer from having, extra weight or whatever it may be. So just another good reminder of why this is a pillar of the show in terms of exercise. And just to remind everybody that it's not required for you to go out and buy the fanciest program or do the most expensive thing or go to the biggest, best, and baddest gym you've ever been to. It's just more so about those consistent daily habits. So if you go to those things, that's fine, as long as you're taking advantage of the basics, taking care of these things. You're doing these practices on a regular basis. You're going to see results no matter what. You're going to feel better no matter what. So just one more thing to take away from this.
Absolutely. I love that. I love your point. You started it with this and we're going to end it with this. Just go back to the fundamentals, the basic, keep it as simple as possible. Because if it's simple, then we can remember to do it. And then if we can remember to do it, we're more likely to do it. And so the idea, the big three, just to wrap everything up of kind of what we've discussed from exercise is number one, do some sort of aerobic activity, every week, right? Including just some sort of moderate intensity exercise, right? That could just be a walk, as simple as that, inside or outside, a hike, just something very light, right? Then we crank it up a little bit for some vigorous intensity exercise. And so, that can be jogging or walking uphill, bicycling, swimming, these kinds of things, playing a sport, getting involved in a sports league, something like of that nature. And then the third piece is some sort of muscle building exercise. Incorporating that once or twice a week into your routine will help give you tremendous benefits as well. So if you keep those three things in mind and doing those things consistently week in and week out, according to this research from Harvard Health, it's gonna give you the likelihood to have more positive outcomes, and feel better, in your day to day life. So I think that's really all we got. Short and sweet. We'll link to this article in the show notes, so it has many more tips and ideas in here that you can reference. But in the meantime, just get out there, be active, and we'll be back with another episode very soon of Wellness for Real People. And until then, take care.